Hey, welcome to Witching Hour Tarot. I hope everyone's doing great. It is a Sunday evening. Spring is in the air for sure. We have daylight savings time today on Sunday, so we do get a few hours of extra daylight here in the Northeast. I think that it's maybe a little darker in the morning and lighter in the afternoons, and then eventually it adjusts to being light at 5 o'clock, or the sun starting to rise at 4:45, and then eventually in the summer equinox it doesn't set until 8:45 or so. But super excited about the changes in seasons. I love the seasons being from the Northeast as well. I think there's a lot of spiritual symbolism and just the cyclicalism of it all. But hope everyone's doing great. I know there's been some pretty gnarly energy out there. I've just been feeling a lot of tension in my body. So I think there's been some passing of such tension as well, but really interesting just in terms of how things are playing out in the collective. So let's see what's going on. King of Cups. So this is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. This is, the master of romance. This is very flexible, EQ, emotional awareness, able to work a room. It's nice to see a king on the table already. So I get the sense that this is this is going to be a very nice reading. I'm trying to think of a character that reminds me of the King of Cups, and it feels so silly to say, but do you know who kind of who reminds me of the King of Cups? Dumbledore from Harry Potter. He was there was a psychic energy to him for sure as well. That's the thing about the King of Cups, is that they have a high psychic ability. Water signs, it's emotive energy, so you're very in tune with the flow of things. You're very, very psychic. It also relates to the moon in terms of psychic abilities within the tarot deck. We have the High Priestess, who obviously is kind of the epitome of what it is to be psychic and psychic ability. So maybe someone is kind of realizing how much they're actually able to feel in the world. We have the Eight of Cups here as well. So Eight of Cups we've been seeing the Eight of Cups tons in all of my readings. This is pursuing the white picket fence for the sake of adhering to the status quo narrative, and then getting there and realizing that there's no emotional fulfillment at the end of it. You're making a 6-figure job, and you have wife and kids, and you go to parties on the weekends and have everything kind of all your typical needs sort of met, but you're still so unhappy at the end of it. And so this might be this is when people have a midlife crisis. There could be someone having a midlife crisis here too. Maybe they need to do something. Maybe their life isn't as it panned out to be, or they had thought how it would pan out to be, and they're kind of seeing that it's they're disappointed in how things have played out. So this card also reminds me of shepherding in the Himalayas or something like that. You see how close the moon is to the mountains, so definitely high altitude. Maybe someone needs to go hiking, or get outside a little bit, get away from the hustle and bustle. King of Wands. King of Wands are also very passionate, but this card in the reverse really epitomizes the player type, the person to break your heart, never call you back, that kind of thing. But these kings are very this one has like incredible psychic abilities, able to kind of, you know, get the EQ of a situation and really kind of hone in on what's going on around them. But then this one is like the life of the party. Like this one can work a room, you know, and talk to everyone in the room, but then this is the one that everyone's staring at as soon as they walk into the room. So just a different kind of, there's a dynamic here for sure, maybe between two masculines. King of Wands, I'm trying to think of a King of Wands character. Something will come to me, hopefully. Let's see. Disappointed though, so maybe they're also not facing one another when they're on the board, so maybe there's been a fight of some sort, a disagreement. The Hermit. So this is another card we've been seeing tons of. This is spiritual enlightenment. I love the euphemism of licking your wounds behind closed doors. So really kind of just honing in on the things that have happened and reflecting and becoming more aware after that period of introspection and reflection. But this is also very psychic energy as well, spiritual awareness as well. The thing is, like with the King of Wands, is that they also have a degree of being psychic, but just in a different way. Like they're more action oriented, where they can manifest, and wands are all about communication and action. So there's a higher manifesting ability of bringing things to the reality with someone who embodies King of Wands, and then King of Cups is more inward facing, where there's a high degree of more so influence. So like this is like influence, and this is manifestation, and they're both very key sort of social dynamics that are just like, you know, key like skills in like the social EQ of things, like being able to, you know, get people together for like a dinner or for an event and manifest a party. And this is someone, on the other hand, who doesn't even have to do anything, but they inspire people to maybe even just like throw a party in their favor. It's just a totally different way of existing, but working for both of them. So maybe both of these, King of Wands and King of Cups, need to do some introspection, figure out what they really want. Seven of Cups. So this card is all about illusion, confusion, having too many choices too, like being overwhelmed by your choices. And that's why I think it also gets so dangerous, where like you have one true love. With 8 billion people on this planet, I think that you're compatible with a lot of people, but usually in relationships, like if you don't have the right communication or objective, or you know, you're not flexible, they can end pretty quickly. And some masculines too can be really inflexible in how they relate to people or what they want, and like that's kind of what testosterone is. It's like seeking independence, as I always say. And feminine energy, on the other hand, is the opposite, seeking connection. So, but we hear like the King of Wands is Aries, Leo, Sag, and the King of Cups is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. They're like opposite sort of masculine energies, but there's confusion, which is interesting. So I don't know if these kings are causing confusion or if they are confused. I would assume that maybe they are confused, especially with the 8 of Cups here. Maybe they had too many choices, you know, too many opportunities in life, and things looked shiny and they actually weren't. And maybe someone's also kind of like looking at what was previously had been shiny to them And when they took off the, you know, the wrapping, it was just kind of like wrapped, it was just like shit wrapped in tinfoil, as they say. And like, why didn't they see it? Maybe why didn't they understand it? Why didn't they care? Like, why did they still choose to move forward in certain relationships or certain opportunities or certain situations? So that's good also to have that degree of self-awareness. Like I find, you know, the more questions that you ask in your communication with people, I think that it's just we're constantly projecting our own inner world onto the outer world, and I think that it's really easy to assume why someone does something that they do without actually knowing how they feel or asking them. You know, there's tons of assumptions, judgments, projections thrown out, and we never actually end up knowing what's going on. So this is the world. This is divine timing. This is cyclicalism as well. Like I had mentioned earlier in this, I had said that we're approaching spring, which is great. I've done maybe I've done more than a dozen, maybe 20 YouTube videos. So I definitely I just got this really great feeling of like groundedness, like, you know, being old enough where I've seen enough suns, enough moons, where I'm really just, it's just funny. Like I've been doing tarot, like I think since last year in December. So it's been about 3 months, a season more or less. And if that's relevant to anyone, appreciation for the seasons, or just, you know, appreciating time as it goes by. There's a present moment here as well, with the world, like, and you see how this is the tarot of sensual magic, and you see how they're looking at, this man is looking at this woman. There's definitely an awe. There's something, you know, that can't even be encompassed, like a feeling like beauty. And yeah, I recently saw the King Kong movie. I feel like I use it a lot in my recent examples of tarot. I watch like a movie a week, honestly. I have no time for TV and all that stuff, unfortunately, because I spend too much time doing tarot. But my point is that there's this scene in the new King Kong that I think came out in 2008 where Naomi Watts and King Kong are hanging out, like watching the sunset, and they have this moment where like they're able to communicate with one another how beautiful the sunset actually is. So like that's the vibe here, like in awe. Someone might be in awe here of just, you know, the beauty of the world, and maybe realizing that the present moment is where everything sort of lives in terms of opportunities, in terms of relationships, just the day-to-day living. You know, also being like very happy in your day-to-day living as well. There's a little confusion on the table. The Hierophant. So it's really great to see this card here. The Hierophant encompasses like the order to what is spiritual. So the Hierophant comes after the High Priestess. So in the major arcana, it's the Fool, the Magician, the Empress, the Emperor. Oh no, he comes before. But the Emperor and the Empress are sort of like Adam and Eve. Wait, let me check really quick. Okay, so I was right. The Hierophant does come after the High Priestess. So it's the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant. And how I like to equate it is there's a huge degree of spiritualism within the first 3 cards. Like the Fool is the human ability to wonder, to look up at the stars and try to make sense of it. The Magician is like mapping the stars and creating pyramids from you know, the constellations, or
any sort of just communication or navigation or any sort of utilization of the stars. And then the high priestess is like the spiritualism of the stars. So like the stories behind the constellations, like like the Greek gods and were all, I think, originated from the constellation and the stars. And then, you know, we also orated these incredible epic stories to pair, and the horoscopes, and, you know, Aries, Leo, Sag, all based on the stars. That's like encompasses high priestess. And then the empress is divine feminine energy, the Eve, you know, the abundance, fertility, all that. And then emperor is Adam energy, able to create that, you know, conquer the world, what have you. And the Hierophant, we're getting there, is the order that comes from all this. It's our laws, it's our religions, it's our texts, it's our, you know, the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, you know, the order that comes from everything else, you know, everything and more from whatever I just listed. So hopefully that hones in on the degree of spiritualism that the Hierophant represents. You know, there's a priest or whatever ship here. So there's spiritual awareness amongst the masculines, which is very nice, but they're also very confused. But here with the Eight of Cups, yeah, so it's also the realization that there's a deeper spiritual like meaning to the world than just fulfilling the status quo for the sake of fulfilling the status quo, like getting married when you're 30 or, you know, 32, and then having children, and then, you know, retiring, working until you're 65, having grandkids. Like there's a higher degree of awareness, like someone who wants to bring more meaning to their life, perhaps. The Devil. But there's temptation too. Someone's been tempted. This is the snake in the Garden of Eden that says, eat the apple, to Eve. But here with these masculines on the table, it's, you know, more so. So this is obsession, addiction issues, compulsion, possessiveness, partying too much. Here of the King of Wands. So this would lead me to read the King of Wands in reverse, even though I was very happy to read him upright. Here with the King, like this can be someone who maybe has a drinking issue or an addiction issue. Maybe they've been to AA. It could be, you know, anything that is in the area of temptation. It could be sex, drugs, alcohol, a lifestyle, and it all also just kind of staying at surface level. There's someone who wants more depth here. Like this is very surface level. Do I want the brunette? Do I want the blonde? Do I want the redhead? Do I want, you know, the Asian? Do I want the Latina? Do I want the African American woman? Like all very, very superficial in terms of how you look at the world and relate to the world. You know, like maybe, you know, like the maybe the Asian, maybe you're, I don't know, maybe you're, I don't want to say anything politically incorrect, but like maybe you're looking for, maybe you were like, I'm sorry. Maybe you're like Italian and like, you know, only want to be with an Italian woman, but then the Asian woman is actually like the love of your life. And has all the other characteristics that you'd want, but you just look over her because she's Asian and not Italian, you know. So like there's someone who's been living in the superficial realm of things, and then they're dissatisfied with where they actually are at in life and looking for more, seeking more, and then also realizing that there's something that's toxic about them. And it's kind of crazy, like when we grow up in certain households and the way that our parents interact with one another, and then also sort of project their reality onto your reality, so their reality becomes your reality, and it just totally influences the way that you think, and the way that you relate to things and interpret things. But what if the way that they taught you was not really was not applicable to how reality actually plays out? Like, this King of Wands devil reminds me of the father who would have to called, say for example someone's having marital issues, and the wife leaves the husband, and then the father, and then gets married or whatever, and then the town is gossiping about it, and a father in a household is talking to his children about it, be like, oh, that she's just a slut or something like that, she's just a whore, fucking Teddy deserves better than that, or Louis deserved better than that, without even really knowing the story. Maybe the husband cheated on them, or maybe there was other kinds of abuse going on, and just there is an inability to empathize, maybe. And the thing is too, with older generations, the men were all America was raised by veterans, more or less. So, World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the older generation of people who are now in their maybe their late 20s, 30s, and early 40s were typically raised of, the Vietnam War generation or World War II. My grandfather was in World War II. I do know, people that were in the Vietnam War, and it's just, it's the way that people think when they grow up, having to go get drafted, and just dealing with that kind of environment. We're in a very pivotal time, I think, in history. That's to be debated. Other people have different opinions, and obviously what I think. There's a lack of empathy when people haven't been empathized with, or they had to do something out of force. It's kind of teaches up a suck it up kind of attitude, but that's why things might get so confusing, is that things look shiny and they're not actually shiny. It's more someone or something. There's illusions here. There is an incorrect way of thinking and relating to the world here. And then, but there's also someone who's becoming aware of it, which is good. No one's perfect. Knight of Cups. So it's lovely to see the Knight of Cups here. Again, very psychic energy. This is the Romeo, who, recites his lovely Shakespearean phrases to Juliet. Oh Romeo, very romantic. King of Cups have, King of Cups and Knight of Cups, very, very. The Emperor. Oh, here he is. I think I have some fiery masculines watching me. Jeez Louise, my 2 subscribers. Oh my goodness. I do it for the girls and the gays, babe. But this is every king in the deck. This is the communication, passion, ability to, manifest like the King of Wands. The psychic understanding and influence and EQ, able to work a room of the King of Cups, and then the presence and abundance and groundedness, stability of the King of Pentacles, and then the logic and intelligence and and swiftness and decisiveness of the King of Swords. So so there's a master here for sure too, or someone has the ability to master. And also, like, actually, I'm not going to go there. These cards are very, the imagery is interesting. All right, let's see what else is going on. Master of none, maybe. And the thing is too, is like people who are very like socially skilled, politically skilled, loved by a lot of people, they also have a humility towards them. So like but a sense of morality, a strong sense of morality. Eight of Cups. Yeah, so definitely, there's a repetition. Eight of Cups here. We have it earlier as well in a different suit or a different deck. So for there to be this kind of repetition is like not a high likelihood. It's very, very low. So definitely someone who's unfulfilled and pursuing the status quo or what people had advised them to pursue and looking for more. Maybe the King of Cups, so if you're a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, but then also still finding beauty, awe in the world, a muse maybe. And females in generally, like everyone can be so inspiring to one another, but never mind. Never mind. Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, so this is pre-Empress energy. This is someone who has, typically feminine. This is like one of the only obviously feminine cards that we have on this on the table right now. So this is, again, pre-Empress. So this is someone who has everything going on for them. Bills are paid, great social life, has everything they could want except for maybe love. So maybe someone also, like, maybe a feminine is mixed in with all this. But finding spiritual wisdom too. Like, maybe the thing is too is like some feminines can be incredibly feminine, where like honestly like a male and a female, like the dimorphism, not just like on a body scale but on a physiological scale, physiological scale. It's like you're two different species. So you can have like very emotional, chaotic women who are still very successful, but maybe their femininity is just dialed a little high. And then you can have, very stoic, sort of neutral masculines, where it's literally like, the total opposite of the spectrum, like you're two different species. And it's crazy because there's attraction too. Like there's so much duality just in that example. And motion it's funny, like the world, there's fixed signs in the world. So like the fixed signs are in each corner, and it is like the full season of each season. So we have a Taurus here, which is full season of spring. We have a Leo, which is full season of summer. We have an Aquarius, which is full season of winter, and then we have a Scorpio, which is full season of fall. So, but in motion, there's also a fixedness to motion, like motion and things moving, and just, you know, the cyclicalism of the world. Like the world, you know, circles around the sun 365 days, and that's what makes a year. There's like a very fixedness, and it just builds on each other until it, like, you know, it snowballs into a billion years after of just, you know, so much time passing. So with that, like, it also reminds me of like the yin and yang symbol, where it represents motion, where you have like the duality of the masculine and the feminine, and the duality of the feminine and the masculine, constantly, you know, moving around each other, circling around each other, like an infinity sign. Like an infinity sign is another great example of like a fixedness in motion. So there's that kind of element here. There's things coming back around, and but even more spiritual. It's also out of someone's power. Four of Swords. So we've been seeing the Four of Swords a lot too. This is like rest and rejuvenation. So with this is like an obvious interpretation for me now. So like someone's like lived a certain lifestyle and they're done living it. They don't want to do it anymore. They had their spiritual realization here with the Hermit and the Hierophant, and they're ready to just kind of rest. They just want to take a load off, chill out, tap into the psychic ability of the world, you know, tap into what they're able to feel, you know, tap into what they're able to interpret, tap into their insight on illusions, master, you know, become the master of your reality. Right. The Star. So this is very psychic, spiritual, divine influence. The Star is Aquarian. And the Star also reminds me of the Fountain of Youth. In the original Rider-Waite deck, there's a really great, you know, interpretation of it, and it just like, it's that divine aspect that stories are based off of, you know, connecting back to the Hierophant and the Star. Like, there's a fantasy level as well, like maybe making your dreams come true, not knowing what your dream is, perhaps. Oh, I forgot a card. You know, I might get a little bit more in just to see what's going on. This is very nice and very masculine, macho energy. I love seeing divine masculines here. You know, the Hierophant, the Emperor, the Hermit. Like, that's very divine masculine energy. The world, even with the Devil. You know, there's a fixedness. You know, we need good to have bad. We need, you know, temptation to have restraint. You know, there's the Devil's Capricorn energy as well. The Tower. Whew. Here it is. So transformation is on someone's mind. Someone's also like setting someone straight too. There's disciplinary action with the Emperor and the Tower. Let's see. Maybe recklessness too. Like some people, Nine of Pentacles. So there's definitely a Muse here. Nine of Pentacles twice. Pre-Empress energy. Empress, oh, here she is. Here she is, everyone. So, wow. This is nice. The Fool. Oh my goodness. All good things, everyone. All good things. So there's definitely a muse here. Someone's looking, there's inspiration for seeking a better life as well. There's inspiration, wanting more from what they've maybe decided on, or the path that they did choose. There's someone who's at the end of it who's saying, "Hey, hey there." Follow the tunnel, like alala Buddha bippity Buddha bippity babbity boo. I'm so goofy. I'm just such a goofy girl. I don't know. I don't know. I'm such a goofy girl. Goodness. Three of Swords. Betrayal, maybe, though, is somewhere in the picture. How is betrayal in this picture? Oh, King of Pentacles, another temptation. So we were missing the King of Pentacles on the board. We need to see a King of Swords as well. Maybe he'll pop up somewhere. But there's heartbreak on someone's mind as well. Like maybe that's been the deter. Like they thought someone was their soulmate, their happily ever after, and maybe there's another masculine in their picture, or someone else is in the picture. There's heartbreak here for sure. That's deterring. That may have deterred someone. Knight of Pentacles, an offer as well, though. Huh. Sometimes it's very difficult to interpret tarot because there's just so much going on. Seven of Cups, illusion for sure. Yeah. Illusion. Knight of Swords. Maybe someone needs more discipline too, is what this is all really coming down to. And so what I didn't say, what I was going to say, but in this particular Emperor, you see his staff there, his staff. There's a mastery, a sexual mastery and restraint too. Maybe being around the block a little bit too much. Yeah. Someone's been around the block a little bit too much. And they kind of lost the sense of what is important and what's real. Maybe getting caught up in toxic lifestyle. The Devil and the King of Wands is very much indicative of a toxic lifestyle that someone was living in. And realizing that it's not the right choice. Maybe you don't want to party every weekend and, do drugs and throw your body away with, drinking, 10 beers on a Saturday. Maybe you don't want to do that because it's bad for your health. And, the friends that you make also have those same issues, and the toxicity kind of just snowballs on itself. And people are just doing drugs, and you get into relationships with people who are doing drugs, and then you have issues communicating, and then they have insecurity issues, and they end up cheating on you. It's just, it just snowballs. And when you see people who have these issues, and you still decide to go on your merry way, thinking that they're your happily ever after, you end up just being responsible for it. But it's nice. This is very nice. Someone's definitely, very, very patriarchal, very dominant, very humble as well. Maybe they've been humbled by the Tower. Maybe enough things have happened to them, and they lived in illusion for so long that their world just crumbled, and they have to start over. But now they're at Emperor status. Now they've mastered every suit in the deck, and they can really just handle it themselves. And they have a lovely, lovely Lady Muse you know, this is a lovely Lady Muse that someone has here with the Nine of Pentacles twice, and then the Empress. Oops. Like, this is very lovely Lady Muse. But hope you have a great rest of your night. And everyone, take it easy. Love, light, and blessings.